Tonight, we remember Obie Wilchcombe, taking a look back at his journey from the newsroom to the Senate and then to Parliament. Then his final words. Hours before his untimely passing, Wilchcombe addressed the PLP Women's Association meeting. Tonight, we hear from those who were there. Plus, the former North Abaco MP is calling for answers about just how many people died in monster Hurricane Dorian. And then in our news at 7:30, the residents of West End Grand Bahama are reflecting on the man who represented them in Parliament for more than a decade. Our news live at 7 starts right now. The sudden death of Minister Obie Wilchcombe stuns the nation, leaving many who knew and loved him in shock and grief. Welcome to our news live at 7. Thanks for joining us. I'm Berthany McDermott, sitting in for Kendino Knowles. A day after the West Grand Bahama and Bimini MP was found unresponsive in Grand Bahama, the nation mourns the sudden death of the veteran journalist and politician. This is just the third time a sitting minister has died in office in the last 50 years. We begin our extended coverage tonight with a look at the legacy of the 64-year-old journalist turned politician. The former journalist started in the news industry back in 1975 when he joined the Broadcasting Corporation and was assigned to cover then Prime Minister Sir Lyndon Pinling, covering many local and regional events. While at ZNS, he served as Deputy News Director, and Assistant General Manager. In 1999, he began hosting the radio show The Bahamas Today on Mourning 94 FM. A year later, he was sentenced to 4 days for refusing to reveal where he got a suicide note, which he read live on air. The note alleged to have been written by convicted murderer John Higgs Jr. 1994 saw Wilchcombe's entrance to politics when he was appointed a senator by former Prime Minister Pinling and again in 1995 by PLP leader Perry Christie. In 2002, he defeated Free National Movement candidate David Wallace to win the West End and Bimini seat. The PLP won that election, and Wilchcombe was appointed Minister of Tourism with responsibility for the Broadcasting Corporation. He was again appointed Tourism Minister in 2012. It was during that tenure when, among other things, the gaming industry was regularized.
I'm pleased today to bring to Parliament a new cutting-edge, comprehensive gaming bill, gaming regulations, and gaming house regulations.
He was also a part of the deal-making process for the Bahamart Resort. However, following the 2017 general election, Wilchcombe lost his seat like many of his colleagues. Still, Wilchcombe stayed loyal to his party and to his hat in the race for chairman at the PLP's 2019 convention.
I never once walked away from my party or ever considered leaving my party or not supporting my party.
In 2021, he returned to run again in his home in West End and Bimini with an overwhelming show of support.
The reality is I expect to win. They've asked us to get our people. They've asked us to show our support. We've asked us to be caretakers. They've asked us to do things in the party's interest. We've done it all.
Wilchcombe went on to win that seat. He was recently made Minister of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting. Hours before his passing, Wilchcombe addressed the PLP Women's Association branch meeting in Grand Bahama.
You're not going to see me taking pictures, giving things to people. You're not going to see me doing that at all. I don't do it. That's my policy.
While the country mourns Wilchcombe's death, his constituents are feeling a deep loss. Our Jamila Mizik spoke to some of them who reflected on the man who served them for more than a decade.
It was here in the settlement of West End where Obie Wilchcombe spent many years growing up and eventually returned to become the Member of Parliament for the area. One day after his passing, we went from the front road, the back road, and everywhere in between. And one thing residents can all agree on is that he will be surely missed.
And everybody in this community is just about family, and Obie is one of them.
He was a son of the soil, one who was well loved by many. The name Obie Wilchcombe will be etched in the memories of many West Grand Bahama residents, the constituency he served in for decades.
But I know he was for the people, you know what I mean?
He was a good man. He take care of people, come take care of them, give them money and everything. He was all right.
He helped the old, the young, the crippled, everybody.
Wilchcombe, on the Progressive Liberal Party ticket, contested the West Grants Bahama and Bimini seat in the May 2002 general election and won, holding that seat until 2017 before his re-election in 2021. These residents say they were in disbelief, having seen Wilchcombe and West End just hours before.
Everybody was saddened. Everybody's saddened because, everybody know him and this is home.
Resident Robert Roker says he's known Wilchcombe for years, having lived in the community all his life, adding that Wilchcombe never missed a funeral in West End.
I was fishing yesterday, and I got the news of him, man. I didn't know how to pick up my line.
As for the future of his constituency,
Boy, I don't know if they can find another Obie. I know that.
reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Missick.
In his last public appearance, Wilchcombe addressed the PLP Women's Branch meeting the night before he died. Tonight, former magistrate and longtime friend Rengan Johnson is reflecting on his message.
He presented a wonderful story for us as to what we need to do to help the social services department in respect to our children, in respect to our persons who are homeless, the women, and we gave him our word that we will help where we can and how we can to make a difference in those persons' lives.
Days before his untimely death, Wilchcombe also attended a funeral service in his constituency. At the branch meeting, he also used the opportunity to encourage attendees to take a stance on issues surrounding gender-based violence.
One of the things that our minister, Obie Wilchcombe, said that we need to work as a whole country to make a difference as to where we are going to be and where we're going to be for the future. And of course our children, our future. I am so sorry that we lost a person who really had a big agenda in front of him to make a difference in the lives of our Bahamian people.
Over in Bimini, scores of Progressive Liberal Party supporters gathered at the PLP's headquarters Monday evening in memory of their fallen MP. They sang hymns, prayed, and shared individual stories of their fondest memories of him. There was also a motorcade throughout the island. Head of the PLP's Bimini branch, Kitty Saunders, telling Our News, Wilchcombe touched the lives of every Biminite, even those on the other side of the political divide. It's time now for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather around the islands. Another hot and humid day around our area. 85 degrees outside our studios under partly cloudy skies. Your winds out of the east, slight breeze at 12 miles per hour. And your feels like temperature is in the 90s, 93 right now on the outside. Temperatures around the island right now, it's a rain-cooled 79 in Freeport, 84 in Marsh Harbour, Abaco, as well as in the Alistown, Bimini, and in the Great Harbour Key area. You guys are having some showers there as well. Governor's Harbour, 84 as well, 83 in Nicholstown, Central Bahamas, 84 Kemps Bay, Arthurstown, Cat Island, and in Deadman's Key. Georgetown, 85 over in Coburn Town, San Salvador. You guys are 82. And in the Southeast Bahamas, Duncantown, Ragged Island, and Delectable Bay, 86 and 84 respectively, with some showers nearby. 84 on Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Abrams Bay, 83. Matthewtown, Inagua, and our good neighbors to the southeast, Turks and Caicos Islands, you guys rounded our temperature profile at 86. Taking a look at our satellite, we do have Philippe, which is still out there in the open Atlantic. And of course, we do have a lot of tropical moisture that's emanating out of the Western Caribbean. That's associated with an upper level trough that is spinning across the Yucatan Peninsula. That's going to continue to pump that moisture across us. So we're looking for some cloudy conditions once again through tomorrow. Showers and thunderstorms will be in the forecast. Most of the activity is across the northwest and central Bahamas as we speak. But Philippe is undergoing some upper level shear. And if you notice, most of the activity is well displaced from the center of circulation. Philippe will continue to remain a tropical storm and gradually weaken as it heads towards us. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. Look at your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, the former North Abaco MP is calling on the government to look into the Hurricane Dorian deaths 4 years after the storm ravaged parts of Abaco and Grand Bahama. And a senior official at the British Colonial Hotel clarifies when that property will reopen. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Just when Leo was about to buy this useless pair of Hands underwear, he remembered that it was Tuesday.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP won elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the expert.
4 years after the devastating Hurricane Dorian made landfall, there are still questions as to the real number of victims lost in the storm. With renewed calls for a formal inquiry into the matter, Marlena Leonard spoke to the former Member of Parliament for North Abaco. He says while it's not impossible, it won't be easy.
It is not inconceivable to believe that the numbers are less than they ought to be. And that's for the obvious reasons that migrants don't check in with authorities and say, look, we're here.
Darren Henfield was the Member of Parliament for North Abaco when the catastrophic Category 5 Hurricane Dorian pummeled into the northern Bahamas. 4 years later, there are renewed calls for a formal inquiry into the number of people lost in the storm. But Henfield says finding that number may be easier said than done.
I don't think it's too late, but I think it's going to be difficult for you to find witnesses. People, particularly from the migrant communities, to come forward and say, I had in my house this number of persons or that number of persons that are no longer counted. Migrants don't volunteer information to officials.
Still, the former MP for North Abaco is not against looking back at the handling of the disaster.
I do think a relitigation of the events of Dorian, inclusive of NEMA, our response agencies, the police, the defense force, the government officials, who participated in trying to help and save lives. So to see how we can do that better, to talk about how administrators, in my humble opinion, ought not be responsible for managing these catastrophic events. They are administrators, they're island administrators. They're not emergency professionals and experts. To see how to prepare.
But while he says it's important to learn from the past and to find closure for as many as possible, there are survivors that still need assistance and attention today.
And I think the Bahamian people determined that we didn't do enough, so they fired us. They put us out of office, and they elected a new government that they thought could come in and do better. And so the question for me to the government, this administration of today is, what have you done since coming to office to ameliorate or to assist the people in Grand Bahama and Abaco?
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks, Marlena. British Colonial Hotel General Manager Dan McDermott is clarifying the much-anticipated reopening date of the Bay Street Hotel. It comes amid differing reports on when work will be completed. McDermott telling Our News this morning.
I know some different dates were given, and we're actually probably early to mid-December on the opening. I know somebody said October recently last week. But we're early to mid-December, and there'll be some phasing in of some of the restaurant outlets. They may be coming in a little bit afterwards, but right now it's unrecognizable compared to what it was.
Thousands turned out this morning for day one of a two-day job fair held by the hotel at the Aaron Rodgers Baseball Stadium. 300 jobs are up for grabs, most of which fall under food and beverage. The general manager says that's because their restaurants will be a major part of their hopes to assist with the revitalization of downtown nightlife.
We've been working very closely with ownership and their design team. The entire lower lobby area is much more of a food and beverage oriented space. Food and beverage is super important for this property, and we're also looking for it to be kind of a rejuvenation, if it would be, for downtown as far as where to go. Because if you go down right now downtown, there aren't a lot of places to go out, certainly not to go out and have a drink, have a nice dinner, and I think that downtown Nassau really needs that.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world, as the Hollywood Writers Union is hoping to strike a deal to end a strike. Plus, Gymnastics Ireland is apologizing to a black girl who refused a medal at an event. And Cuba is coming to Jamaica's aid as they seek to help fill a long-standing teacher shortage. We have the details when our news returns.
Doctor?
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to...
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight.
This is Our News. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. The Hollywood Writers Union reached a preliminary labor agreement with major studios on Sunday. A deal is expected to end one of two strikes that have halted most film and television productions and cost the California economy billions. Gabe Singer reports.
Hollywood's striking writers union said it reached a tentative deal with major studios on Sunday. The agreement is expected to mark an end to the longest-running writers' strike in over 3 decades, which, along with the concurrent actors' strike, has halted most film and television production and cost the California economy billions. Writers walked off the job in early May after negotiations reached an impasse over issues including compensation, minimum staffing of writers' rooms, the use of artificial intelligence, and writers' residuals for popular streaming shows. For months, the writers have protested lopsided paychecks for media executives and said working conditions had made it hard for them to earn a middle-class living. The work stoppages took a toll on many operators and small businesses that support film and television production, leading to over $5 billion in losses in California and other major U.S. production hubs, according to a Milken Institute estimate. After a months-long impasse, several top industry executives, including from Warner Brothers and Netflix, joined negotiations this week, helping to push a deal along. The Writers Guild of America, which represents 11,500 film and television writers, hailed the agreement as, quote, exceptional, with, quote, meaningful gains and protections for writers. But before the 3-year contract can take effect, it must first be approved by WGA leadership and union members. The trade group representing major studios involved in negotiations did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Though the deal is a significant milestone, it will not fully return Hollywood to work, as the SAG-AFTRA Actors Union remains on strike. SAG-AFTRA walked off the job in July over concerns of minimum wages for performers, protections against AI to replace human actors, and fair compensation. The dual strikes had shut down production of movies and TV series and sent late-night talk shows into reruns. In a statement late Sunday, SAG-AFTRA urged major studios to, quote, return to the table and make the fair deal that our members deserve and demand.
Gymnastics Ireland has issued an unreserved apology to the family of a black girl who was not given a medal at an event ceremony in Ireland. The incident occurred at a Gym Start event in Dublin in March 2022, when a line of children was awarded medals, but a young black girl did not get one. A video of the incident emerged in recent days and has been watched millions of times on social media. Gymnastics Ireland apologized for the upset that has been caused. It said it was deeply sorry, that it knew it needed to do more to ensure nothing like this will happen again, and it condemned any form of racism. Cuba is offering to supply teachers to Jamaica as that country's education system is being rocked with resignations. Over 1,000 teachers have left the system this semester in the quest for more lucrative jobs in countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Middle East. Cuba's ambassador to Jamaica, Fermin Quinones Sanchez, told the newspaper that his country stands ready to assist if or when the government asks for the support. There are over 100 Cuban teachers in the Jamaican school system, most of whom teach Spanish. But the diplomat said his country can offer teachers in the sciences as well as in dealing with children with special needs. Guyanese opposition leader Aubrey Norton has said Daniel Seram, chairman of the Region 4 Democratic Council, should resign over allegations that he assaulted his wife. Norton told reporters the People's National Congress reform, where Seram sits as executive member, does not tolerate or condone any form of violence. A disciplinary committee was formed on Wednesday night to examine the allegations against Seram. This is not the first time Seram has been accused of domestic incident. Last year, he was brought before the courts over allegations that he threatened his father-in-law with his licensed firearm. Still to come on our news, Today in History. Find out interesting facts about the day that was September 26th. And then in our news at 7:30, our Jamila Mizik speaks with West End residents on the passing of their Member of Parliament. We've got the details. And what's next? A former chief parliamentary clerk explains the next step as a parliamentary seat is now vacant. That's coming up when our news returns.
If you want a real nice, tasty bacon dish, there's a place on the fish fry you can't resist. You can watch the sun.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration.
Welcome back to our news. It's now time to turn our spotlights on events that shaped the day that was September 26th. On this day in Bahamian history, in 1929, the 1929 Bahamas hurricane ended its battering of the Bahama Islands. This storm lasted for 3 consecutive days as the storm remained almost stationary at 2 miles per hour over New Providence and Andros. This hurricane devastated the northwest Bahamas and impacted the economy of the Bahamas for years to follow. The storm occurred during the peak of the sponging era. 70% of all the sponge vessels and schooners throughout the Bahamas were destroyed in the storm. This storm killed 134 people and well over 5,000 were left homeless in New Providence. At the time, the population of New Providence in 1929 was approximately 13,000. 73% of all the homes and businesses in Nassau were destroyed. 95% of all the churches in Nassau and all the churches in Andros were destroyed. Approximately 77% of the government's annual budget in 1930 and 1931 were devoted to the rebuilding efforts from the hurricane. The storm prompted the government of the Bahamas to switch from sponging to tourism as the #1 industry. It also was a major factor for implementing building codes. In 2018, a top Disney Cruise Line executive outlined their plans for the controversial Lighthouse Point project. At the time, environmentalists had argued that the project at Lighthouse Point may destroy the ecological and cultural assets of the local environment. They urged Disney to find a different location for its cruise port, citing the long-term harm it may cause to the environment. Disney had maintained its commitment to the environment by promising to develop only 20% of the property and employing sustainable building practices.
This investment will be between $350 and $400 million.
Vale and other Disney Cruise Line senior members sat with our news team for a one-on-one interview at Bahamas Convention Center on Wednesday morning. That's where he revealed that Disney already has an agreement for the land with the current owner. Vale confirmed that they've been under contract for several months.
We have an agreement for purchase with the current owner, just under contract, and for, I think, a period of time we have the option for purchase of the property.
Then in 2019, missing posters were released 3 weeks after Hurricane Dorian ravaged Abaco and Grand Bahama.
Police on Grand Bahama have released a list of persons still missing. Among the missing are 43-year-old Terrell Lightbourne of High Rock, a security officer at a local establishment. 49-year-old George Lang, a fisherman also from High Rock. 63-year-old Clarence Jones, a retired teacher from High Rock. Also on that list, a High Rock family of 3, including 60-year-old Roswell Pinder, a security officer, 60-year-old Sybil Pinder, a customs broker, and 21-year-old Tanae Pinder, a student.
To watch that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. Well, that does it for our news at 7. Joining us now is our Atalia Hall with the latest headlines. Atalia.
Yes, Berthany, thanks so much. Well, West Grand Bahama residents reflect on an MP they call one of their own, and thousands vie for jobs at the British Colonial Hilton Hotel. Here are your latest headlines. A reflection, first tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. Tributes continue to pour in following the passing of Information and Broadcasting Minister Obie Wilchcombe. This, as a top executive in the tourism sector, describes him as an extraordinary, compassionate nationalist. And a former chief parliamentary clerk confirming that we can expect to see a by-election in the coming weeks, following the death of the Social Services, Information and Broadcasting Minister. And later, thousands turning out at the Aaron Rodgers Baseball Stadium this morning for the British Colonial Hotel's job fair. Our Marlena Leonard has the full story when Our News Live at 7:30 returns.
Doctors Hospital's reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station. Open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Collect verse access is as easy as grab a collect, scan a collect. Open your camera app, focus on the QR code, and click the link that appears. You own your collect verse experience. Take selfies, join the cultural referendum, and share with your friends. See content from local chefs, Olympic athletes, and cultural icons. Click is proud to be 50. Grab a Click, scan a Click. Get in the Click verse today.
The West End and Bimini communities, and indeed people around the country, continue to mourn the sudden death of social services and beloved Member of Parliament, Obie Wilchcombe. This is Our News at 7:30. I'm Natalia Hall. Thank you so much for watching. Condolences and expressions of sympathy continue to pour in from across the country for Social Services Minister Obie Wilchcombe. The 64-year-old was found unresponsive Monday morning in Grand Bahama. His body, now here in the capital, arrived 24 hours ago, met by members of the cabinet and political colleagues. We still don't know the exact cause of his death, as government must now make plans for his state funeral. Meanwhile, residents in West Grand Bahama reacting to the death of their Member of Parliament. His constituents reflecting on the life of their long-serving MP with Our News Today.
Everybody in this community is just about family, and Obie is one of them.
I know he was for the people, you know what I mean? Funerals, he always there. If you have a problem, call him. He's there to rescue you.
Wilchcombe contested the West Grand Bahama and Bimini seats for the Progressive Liberal Party in the May 2002 general election and won, holding that seat until 2017 before his re-election in 2021. These residents say they were in disbelief, having seen Wilchcombe in West End just hours before.
Everybody was a little confused. Everybody was a little traumatized for it happened so sudden.
Everybody was saddened. Everybody's saddened because, everybody know him, and this is home.
Tributes continue to pour in following the shocking death of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting Minister Obie Wilchcombe. Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association President Robert Sandy Sands describes Wilchcombe as an extraordinary, compassionate nationalist.
He built on the foundation of tourism ministers before him. He laid additional foundations, certainly for the empowerment of Bahamians within the industry. He laid the fruit. It's now for the fruit to bear, and many people will benefit from that labor that he performed as tourism minister.
Now in a statement, Nassau Paradise Island Promotion Board CEO Joy Jibrelu said Wilchcombe contributed bold and inventive ideas to the industry that left a lasting mark on the Bahamas and Nassau Paradise Island. She said he played a fundamental role in developing sports tourism and positioned the Bahamas as a premier sports tourism destination, which attracted several major sporting events to our shores and resulted in significant partnership. Meanwhile, Sands says he was caught off guard and is saddened by the news.
It teaches us all a lesson in terms of being prepared, because that is the one sure thing in this world that we must all go through. And it is never easy to comprehend. But there is a true saying, we know it not the day nor the hour. And so for most of us, while shock, I think it sends us a very strong lesson about how we live our lives and the contributions we make to the development of the country.
While PLP senators are also mourning the loss of their fallen colleague, we spoke to Senators Quintin Lightbourne and Darren Pickstock, who recounted fond memories of him.
Knowing Minister Wilchcombe for quite some time, he's a phenomenal man and dynamic statesman, and someone that, I looked up to in the political sphere.
It's a profound loss for us. Mr. Wilchcombe, as you know, meant a lot to the Progressive Liberal Party. He was the minister in charge of social services and also the government's leader of business.
Now, Wilchcombe died in Grand Bahama Monday morning. He spoke to a PLP Women's Association meeting on Sunday evening. They all remembered him as one who shared knowledge of the party. Senator Randy Roll said he spoke with Wilchcombe on Sunday, the day before he died.
We were talking about the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. Anyone who knew him knew that he was an avid Dolphin fan. He was one who had a wealth of knowledge. Certainly, you know, I used to call him a history book because he would, for young persons like myself, he would tell us about the history of the PLP.
Now, the passing of former Social Services, Information and Broadcasting Minister Obie Wilchcombe is still a major shock for many across the country. And while the news is devastating, some have asked, what can we expect to come next now that a sitting member of Parliament has died? Well, tonight a former parliamentary clerk is sharing what we may see in the coming weeks. Let's take a look.
Mr. Wilchcombe was a very conscientious and knowledgeable member of Parliament. He prepared himself properly before he came to the Parliament. And he was very approachable.
Former Chief Parliamentary Clerk Maurice Tynes is reflecting on the life of the late Minister Obie Wilchcombe. As he says, he was well loved by many across the country. He says this is an important moment in Bahamian history, as many have been asking, what's next? Now that there's a void at the helm of the West Grand Bahama and Bimini constituency. While a sitting member of Parliament has not died in decades, Tynes says the Constitution provides an outline as to what should happen. A by-election will have to be called, but he says no announcement should be made until after the Member of Parliament's funeral.
The maximum period in the Constitution, I think, is 60 days, but the Parliamentary Elections Act reduced that period from a by-election after a vacancy occurs. A by-election has to be called not earlier than 21 days or not later than 30 days.
And there's a process when Parliament is in recess, and the Speaker of the House has to be notified of the death by government.
When the Speaker has been notified, the Speaker sends a message to the Governor-General informing her that a vacancy now exists in the West End Bimini constituency, and asks the Governor-General to offer a writ of election for that by-election.
While he says it's not likely to happen, there's another possibility.
The Prime Minister may decide to do what the Sir Lyndon did in 1968 and bypass the by-election and just call a general election.
Once the date of the by-election has been announced, we will see nominations from the various political parties to contest the West Grand Bahama and Bimini seat. Only those registered voters in the constituency will be allowed to vote during that time.
It'll probably be excitement within the political parties, I'm sure, because, you know, Bahamians like elections. Once the campaign gets underway, I'm sure there'll be some excitement.
We have much more to get to in a moment, but for now, meteorologist Greg Thompson joins us from the Weather Center with a check on weather. Greg?
Thanks, Talia, and welcome everybody for a quick check on conditions outside the studios and around the islands. It's 85 degrees outside right now in the partly cloudy skies. Your winds are out of the east at 12 miles per hour. That's a slight breeze, and your feels like temperature is at 94. Satellite and radar composite showing a lot of tropical moisture coming out of the Western Caribbean, spreading across our area and South Florida. That's all courtesy of an upper level low that's spinning across the Yucatan Peninsula. It will continue to pump that moisture across us. So we're looking for some cloudy conditions tonight through tomorrow with more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. Most of the activity will be confined to the northwest and portions of the central Bahamas. That's a first look at weather around the islands and outside our studios. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast and the tropics still to come.
Still to come on our news, effective technology. Hear how ShotSpotter technology alerted police to a serious crime in southeastern New Providence last night. Plus, job seekers turning out in big numbers for British Colonial Hotel's job fair as they look to fill some 300 positions when our news returns.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now...
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
A 44-year-old is dead after being gunned down in the Pinewood Gardens area, and police say it was shot spotter technology that alerted them to the crime. The incident happening just after 9 last night on Acacia Avenue in Pinewood Gardens. Police say the victim was standing outside his home with another man and woman when the occupants of a black Nissan Note pulled up and a passenger opened fire, shooting the victim several times. The car sped off, heading towards Nassau Village. The victim died in hospital. An alleged street gang leader has been awarded $26,000 in damages after a judge found that police arrested him unlawfully on 2 separate occasions. Dorian, the alleged leader of the Dirty South gang, was arrested by police in 2015 and 2016. Neely, who was then represented by current National Security Minister Wayne Monroe, sued over a breach of his rights. Justice Sir Ian Winder found police officers arrested Neely at his Pinewood Gardens home on December 24, 2015 on suspicion of armed robbery and possession of an unlicensed firearm. He was detained until December 26, 2015 and released without charge. Neely was arrested at his home on February 3, 2016 for an unknown offense, and released from custody on February 8, 2016. Government also has to pay Neely's legal costs. The line of job seekers circled the Aaron Rodgers Baseball Stadium this morning as thousands queued up to fill one of the 300 job vacancies at the British Colonial Hotel. Our Marlena Leonard speaks to job seekers and the organizers in this report.
I ain't even know I saw this much people, to be honest. I ain't gonna lie to you. But to be honest, I go wait it out and just hopefully I get the job, I guess, through God.
Thousands lined up this morning for the chance to snag a job at the soon-to-reopen British Colonial Hotel. The Point Complex's Area Director of Human Resources and Training, Latoya Kemp.
Well, we have about 2,900 persons that have applied, and we're only looking to fill about 300 positions. So massive turnout, very excited, but the flow is going very well. We have about 42 interviewers here from our management team, so everyone is psyched and ready to go.
And we spoke to some of those employment hopefuls who will find out as early as next week if they're one of the lucky 300.
I have experience in housekeeping, but I want to try something different, so front desk. I've been told multiple times that I have the personality for it, and it's something new to add onto my belt.
Looking for a job, applying for food and beverages. Probably bartender also. I like the hospitality area, to be honest. I like working around tourists and guests and what's not, and like adventuring out.
Well, it's better than staying home.
I'd rather be doing something out there, making sure, because things are very hard right now.
And tomorrow the search continues, Kemp tells us.
Tomorrow would be for supervisory and above, but everyone must pre-register before they arrive to the stadium. It's online. We have the QR code that's out there. It's also on our website, and so far the feedback has been outstanding.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Still to come on our news, effective technology.
The UB Mingos return from their tour in Florida, and the national women's soccer team play Grenada on their home turf. Don't go anywhere. Our sports is coming up next.
Overcast skies in the capital on this Tuesday as we dive a little deeper into the fall season. Greg is back with more weather details when our news returns. Stay with us.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Today's sports update is sponsored by Michelob Ultra, distributed in the Bahamas by Jimmy's Wines and Spirits.
This is our news. Welcome back. We bring you the latest on UB soccer, and the women's national soccer team played a big match in Grenada. Here's Tej Adderley with a check on sports. Tej?
Good evening. Welcome to Our Sports. I'm Tej Adderley. The UB soccer team completed their tour of South Florida on Friday, playing their second match against Millennia Atlantic University. The UB Mingos fell to the MAU Macaws 4-1 on Friday evening in Doral, Florida. Peter Julimus scored the only goal for the Mingos on a PK in the 49th minute to make the game 2-1, but MAU managed to pull away late in the game to give the game its final score. Julimus and head coach Alex Thompson reflect on their two-game tour.
I had a few more chances I could have scored, but I didn't, unfortunately. But overall, I'm pleased that I was able to net 2 goals.
We stuck to the game plan. We just didn't execute in front of goal, and they just had some great goals. And sometimes there's no answer for quality.
Keeping things on the pitch, the Bahamas women's soccer team played the second match of a home and away against Grenada in the CONCACAF Road to the Gold Cup. This time they fell 4-1. The women's national soccer team tried to bounce back from last week's loss against Grenada on Grenada's home turf on Sunday afternoon. The Bahamas gave the Grenadians everything they could handle in the first half, finishing the period tied at 1 goal apiece. Grenada, powered by a hat trick from Nia Thompson, came out firing in the second half, scoring 3 goals to secure the win. The ladies will have to get a win in October when they play the U.S. Virgin Islands. Before we go, Jonquel Jones and the New York Liberty are playing against the Connecticut Sun tonight in Game 2 of the WNBA semifinals. The game starts in a few minutes. We'll have the score and highlights on our socials and on the news tomorrow night. That's all we have for sports this evening. I'm Tej Adderley.
Temperatures cooling down across the country as we move deeper into fall. Wondering what type of weather we can expect for the rest of the work week? Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center when our news continues.
Well, we're waiting.
I'm alright. Don't nobody worry about me. You got to give me a fight. Why don't you just let me be?
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
Don't spend hours sending individual messages to your customers. Use SMS messaging instead. With Cable Bahamas Business Solutions SMS messaging, you can send personalized messages to hundreds or even thousands of recipients instantly. It's quick, effortless, and cost-effective. Plus, it ensures that your messages are delivered directly to your customers' cellular phones, guaranteeing higher engagement. Save time and boost your outreach with SMS bulk messaging. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions at 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster. Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station. Open the app, scan the pump's QR code, select your payment amount, and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Parliament is prorogued, ending the first legislative session of the Davis administration. It's been 2 years since the PLP-1 elections, ushering in a new government. On October 4th, a brand new session of Parliament begins with a new Governor General, a new speech from the throne, and with it, a blueprint for a new legislative agenda. Stay with Our News Nightly and follow ournews.bs for analysis and insight, and most of all, what's important to you.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help.
Welcome back to our news. Heavy downpours in the capital today, but will we have more rain over the next few days? Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended forecast. Greg?
Yeah, thanks again, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody, for our final look at weather. We take a look at the water vapor. That's showing a lot of the moisture that's emanating out of the Western Caribbean, spreading across the area, courtesy of an upper level low that's spinning across the Yucatan Peninsula. The low is weakening as it tracks towards the north and west, but it will continue to pump that moisture across us. So we're looking for some cloudy conditions, as well as some showers and some isolated thunderstorms across our area throughout tonight and into tomorrow. And then Philippe is out there. This is actually where Philippe is located. There's an upper level low that's near that location, and that upper level low is providing for some shear across that system. The actual clouds, showers and thunderstorms displaced from that. Talk about that in a short while. But into the far eastern Atlantic, we are still tracking this tropical wave, very strong one, becoming a little more organized with the showers and thunderstorms. The National Hurricane Center giving that a high chance for formation. We continue to watch that as it tracks towards the northwest, but it's likely to stay in the open Atlantic and not approach us. And then, of course, we have Philippe is actually still a tropical storm, 45-mile-per-hour winds, and like I said, it's being shared by an upper level low. A lot of the convection displaced from the center of circulation, and it is weakening as it continues to track towards the west-northwest. Eventually, by the end of the week, we expect that system to become a remnant low as it approaches the southeast Bahamas, and then across our area, once again, that moisture associated with an upper level low of the Yucatan Peninsula, providing us with a lot of showers and thunderstorms, mainly across the northwest and central Bahamas, and that would be the likelihood throughout the rest of the week. Taking a look at your boating forecast. For the northwest Bahamas, your winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Tide is presently high, will be low at 12:27 in the morning. For the southeast Bahamas, caution flag, central and southeast Bahamas, caution flag in place, rip current risk is high. Easterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas running 4 to 6 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, that upper level low continuing to pump the moisture across us. We're looking for showers off and on throughout the remainder of the week and into the weekend, and looks as though that activity will continue into early next week. Temperatures should be in the low 90s, and then of course those night temperatures will be in the mid to upper 70s to near the 80-degree mark. And if we do get a lot of showers, we could see some low to mid 70s. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great night and stay safe, everybody.
All right. Thanks so much, Greg. And thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.